An investigation has found a company on North Uist has been illegally burying salmon waste. Whiteshore Cockles was granted a temporary exemption by the Scottish Government to bury dead salmon at its site on the island, with the expectation that they would build a processing plant to deal with the waste instead. That exemption expired in January. But footage has now emerged showing the company continuing to bury the dead and diseased fish 4 months after it became illegal. Louise Scott has more.
On one of North Uist's idyllic beaches lies a salmon graveyard. Under the promise they were building a processing plant, Whiteshore Cockles was granted a temporary exemption to bury dead salmon, causing environmental concern. That was revoked in January. But this footage given to us by Ecotricity shows illegal dumping in May. This is dead and diseased salmon collected from Scottish fish farms being added to piles of decomposing carcasses. The odour alone has led to complaints. When we visited, we watched fresh seaweed being added to the rising piles, but no deliveries arrived. So we asked to meet the owners.
How many deliveries are you getting a week? Does it just depend on?
It just depends on how many mortalities there are.
Angus and Fraser MacDonald are the father and son running this family business. We sat down to show them the footage.
Yeah, can you just kill the camera, please?
In complete silence, they watched these images of their illegal activity. Once the camera was allowed back on, they were quick to tell us that that was the past.
So is this not happening anymore?
No, that's not happening at all.
Why was it happening in May?
Like I said, we have invested a lot in this plant, a lot of energy, and we bring jobs to the place.
Our aim is to process all the fish through the plant. The last thing we want to be doing is putting underground like what used to happen historically.
So Fraser, why are these pictures?
We're not willing to comment on those pictures.
The first part of the process.
We were given a tour of the processing plant, but it wasn't switched on while we were there.
We've been running since September last year, doing trial runs, August, September commissioning, and then it's been fully functioning all year.
Which means it should have been able to process this salmon delivery in May.
The past couple of weeks, how often have you ran this machine?
The past couple of weeks only once, so we ran it for like 4 days. We ran it, and that cleared everything. And then the numbers have been low, so we've just been. If the numbers are really low, we're just prepared to ship them out of here.
It's not practical to start the plant for small numbers.
From the tour, we could see the machinery was in place, but it was becoming clear that this was an expensive process to run if not enough salmon was being delivered.
The licence was taken away in January. You have this plant, which you say has been running this year, that there are these pictures from just a few months ago.
Like I said, we are in this industry to process the fish, not bury the fish. We have moved on from that, and that is the past.
So what does this picture show?
And that is my final comment today about this.
Can you guarantee that's not still happening?
Yes.
That May was the last time that this happened?
I'm telling you just now, all I am saying is we are not in the business to be burying fish, we're in the business to be processing the fish.
That is illegal.
I think we're just repeating ourselves
Yes,
around the
we're not
circles.
going to go around anymore on this, so
We're wasting everyone's time here.
Okay.
Despite repeated questions, they would not give us any reason for the illegal dumping in May.
Nothing else you'd like to add?
Absolutely nothing, but the gate's over there, you can leave. Yeah.
And with that, we were escorted off the property with no denial that they carried out this illegal work.
It's clear they have spent a lot of money on the machinery inside that building. What's not clear is whether the footage we were given from May was a one-off or if it is actually still happening. We asked to see round the back to those pits, but they would not show us them.
The Scottish Environment Protection Agency told us they haven't yet signed off on this plant, so any salmon that couldn't be processed was to be transported to the mainland. They say they are concerned by this report and are now investigating, something environmental campaigners have long called for.
It's a biohazard for nature that is around the site, and ultimately a human hazard because of the kinds of diseases that can occur in the bodies of dead animals if they're not dealt with properly. The authorities need to be held accountable.
Despite issuing the exemption, the Scottish Government refused to discuss the issue.
It's an enforcement matter, it's for local authorities to investigate and to look into.
Mowi is the UK's largest supplier of farm-raised salmon and uses white shore cockles. When we showed them the footage, they seemed to know that in May the plant was incapacitated, and that's why the fish were buried.
They've obviously done something which is not licensed and wrong, according to this footage. I think a common sense decision was made to do that, but they should have stuck to the law.
But when common sense is potentially leading to biohazard concerns, it seems like there's more questions needing to be asked and transparency from an industry swimming in profits. Louise Scott, STV News, North Uist.